Welcome to the Southwest Desert Podcast, where we explore the history and landscapes of America's Southwest. I am your host, Alan. In today's episode, we'll be following the journey of Elisha Hunt and his Mormon pioneer band as they trek through the harsh Mojave Desert in search of their promised land. Please give a like, comment, and follow. Please hit the subscribe button. Our story begins in 1851, when a long train of covered wagons lumbers slowly across the upper mesas of the Mojave. The wagons, heavy wooden boxes on large creaking wheels, are drawn by oxen, their ribs protruding from hunger and exertion. The bearded men driving the oxen with whips and cries are Mormon pioneers, accompanying their leader Elisha Hunt to establish a new settlement for their people. Inside the wagons, behind tattered canvas flaps, women and children gaze out, their faces etched with thirst and want. The decision to send pioneers to California came straight from their leader, Brigham Young, the great Mormon prophet himself. In a divinely inspired vision, he saw an arrowhead-shaped mountain pointing to the spot where a colony should be built. Elisha Hunt leads this band of chosen people to answer that vision. The journey began back in March, when they left their settlement in Salt Lake. They traveled south across Nevada's Meadow Valley Wash and into the unforgiving Mojave Desert, stopping at places like Dry Lake and Las Vegas Springs to collect meager water. The wagons are so large and heavily laden that they cannot take the regular trails. Long, wearying detours must be made around obstacles. By the time they reach the eastern border of the Mojave, almost all their supplies are gone. On the horizon sits their destination, the sharp, imposing peaks of the San Bernardino Mountains. But before they can reach those mountains, they must cross the strange forests of the upper Mojave Plateau. The trees blanketing the mesas are utterly foreign, their odd foliage unlike anything the pioneers have seen. To minds and bodies drained by the journey, it seems an oasis, almost Edenic in its abundance. The trees, with spiky leaves and clusters of creamy flowers, came to be known as Joshua trees, after the biblical figure Joshua, the biblical prophet who asked the sun to stand still. The arrival of clouds and cooler temperatures seemed to echo this fanciful connection. Elisha Hunt sees divinity in their discovery. With the promised land so close, the optimism of the pioneers is renewed. They force their wagons down the western side of Cajon Pass, reaching an area later called Sycamore Grove. It is only 4 miles from the summit. At this green-shaded spot, the leader and pilgrims gaze up at last upon the prize Brigham described. A perfect arrowhead ridge atop the sheer eastern wall of the San Bernardino Valley. Elisha leads the travelers once more, traveling the last few miles to establish the colony of San Bernardino in the valley below. The distinctive Arrowhead Peak of the San Bernardino Range has been an iconic landmark for travelers ever since Hunt's pioneer odyssey. His experience also brought lasting fame to the unusual, stretched and spiky trees that became his caravan's heralds of the Promised Land. The Cajon Pass area becomes an oft-used thoroughfare for pioneers and settlers, but that Arrowhead landmark keeps its almost holy significance. Today, a monument at Sycamore Grove commemorates Elisha Hunt's Oregon and California-bound Mormon wagon train, who ended their long pilgrimage and founded San Bernardino under its direction. The trees that so amazed and inspired the pioneers are still known by their nickname of Joshua. Unique to the Mojave Desert, the Joshuas thrive where little else can grow. Their spiked, irregular fronds whisper in the desert winds, holding an air of mystery. Framing sunsets, silhouetted against lavender dusk skies, they remain captivating residents of the landscape. The craggy old Joshuas witnessed wagon trains like Elisha Hunt's time and again. Their water and shade gave relief to thousands journeying through the Mojave towards their own promised lands. The trees bend their tough branches not in supplication, as the Mormons had thought, but in obstinate life. 170 years later, pioneers still seek out these curious forests and solitary Joshuas. Their determination to thrive and vary has made them icons of the mythic Desert West. We've reached the end of this Southwest Desert episode. Thanks for joining me on this desert quest. Please comment, like, and follow. If you enjoyed this and want to explore more of the Southwest Desert, hit the subscribe button. Happy trails!